Hi guys, it's Celine and it's Saturday the 7th, I think, of November. And I will probably upload this somewhere next week. What with all the turmoil in the world out there, I have felt over the past week that I should just, work on myself and my own things much more and just keep the vlogging in orbit. It's in there, it's there, but I'm just not doing any for now. Until this point, that is. Because it's been on my mind, I have actually got a pretty decent energy work update for you guys where so much is going on and there's so many bits of input from different sides. There's also a lot of sunshine, so I don't know how this is going to work in terms of lighting. But there's so much. Wouldn't you say that the human energy system, the body, our experiences in terms of vibration, even our emotional life, that it should somehow all be connected? Wouldn't you say that it should that it would make more sense when you experience things that are connected to each other? So that's what I'm having here. I have got, I think it is 4 at this point, systems of energy work from different cultural parts of the world that are turning out to be connected, if that's what you want. So there's the Kundalini Shakti work approach. There's actually the Kundalini yoga and or Tantra approach, where you work with the Shakti energy that comes into your body in your root chakra. And then there's the suggestion in the culture, at least, or in the things I've read, that you sort of automatically then progress to, as you work with that, to a sense of the chakras, or where they are in your body, and you're presented with all the imagery about the chakras. And I've never felt that to be completely convincing. Also, during this year, this 2020 year, I have been working on Tummo much more. And I've been trying to figure out how that works from January, basically, early January this year, on a very regular basis. I've done Shakti energy, importing into my body and figuring out how it feels and what it can do for all of 2019. And then I've moved over to doing a more focused Tummo kind of approach over 2020. Now, this I've been thinking a lot about what happens to the Shakti when it becomes Tummo. What is the difference there? And one of the things I've said also recently is that it becomes more focused. It also becomes more personal. It becomes easier to use in your body in all sorts of ways. Another thing I'd like to add to that is that the energy becomes more permanent. So the wavelength settles in a way in the belly, in the underbelly part of where the Tummo is happening. It transforms into a easy to use, readily available, sort of a standing wave that you can access almost more or less any time. So that's why I'm also publishing these videos, because I think it's awesome, and I'm benefiting from this all the time. And recently I've had a specific type of benefit come up. So, but before I go into that, because I was thinking about, so the Kundalini, the chakras and all that comes from the same culture. You would say, okay, so that's it right there. You've got it. Actually, no, because Tummo happens in the lower part of what I still assume to be the second chakra. Actually, I am doubting it now that it would be part of the second chakra at all. Because, over the past weeks, I've been thinking about this and looking at this in my own body, in myself, in much more detail. And I've come to the conclusion that where the Tummo happens is actually a separate organism, a separate channel where that happens. And the chakras themselves are a result, an expression of who we are, of our personalities, and often, and certainly in my case, of our personal history and of things that have happened to us, and also a lot of those negative things that have happened to us, and how we, manage to either cope or not cope with those things in terms of vibration. And a lot of people talk about chakras not being aligned. On the internet, you can find, if you type that in, you can find a lot of intel about that. And I've never felt very confident as to how that would look or feel. And because I know from my own experience that I can imagine things, project things, mentally visualize things very easily. And there doesn't really have to be that much truth in it. So the whole Shakti, Kundalini Yoga, Tummo process is not about visualization. And I've said it before, but I'm going to just say this again. It isn't. It is visualization helps you sometimes here and there to keep your focus, to, have a relationship in your mind with what you're doing. Yes, but the Shakti itself is an entity of itself. It's like the mushroom to that extent. I hope I don't scare people too much with my waving my mushrooms around. This is a pantherina mushroom. As long as I don't eat it, I'm not going to go here and hallucinate at you, okay? It's completely safe. It's here because it's a friend of mine. So, in parentheses. Visualization is hardly ever relevant, I think, to Kundalini Yoga. All this is my personal experience, which I'm documenting, putting out there, sharing with the world, because it's not something that gets done a lot. So there is a real force at work here. When we are basically desperate enough in our lives for change to happen, when we want to improve our lives, to some significant extent beyond what our mental frames and our habits and our unconscious patterns and so on are providing us with, then Shakti or Kundalini is your friend. However, you have to engage with the actual force, with the actual... I'm messing with my hair here because I just washed it and it's floofy. So it does that, So that's all there is to that. You have to be aware that you're actually engaging with the force. It also takes some time getting used to. Nobody's telling you to that you have to get this done in 5 minutes. And in a world full of deadlines, that's difficult. I'm going to try to pull you towards me slightly, because then maybe there won't be that much messing with the lighting. It's with the sunshine and the shade. I'm in the full image of the camera here, and it still doesn't really, it still wants to go light and dark all the time. So I hope that's just not too annoying. I'm going to try and change the setting here. Just hang on a second. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. It doesn't look like it helps at all. So in my interpretation, in my experience at this point, maybe if I sit like this, it is going to be better. No. How about if I sit like this? Is it going to be any better? Yes. Okay. So I should look at the light, and then there's just going to be a slab of sunlight on my face like that. It's annoying. I'm sorry. I can't help this at this point. chakras, in my experience and in my interpretation, are the pattern, the way they behave, the way what you do with them, what the function of them is to express to the outside how you feel, how you're doing, how you're operating in many ways, and how your body is doing, how you, in all sorts of ways. There isn't really, it is like a chakra situation, a chakra MO at a particular point for a particular person is an end result of a process inside the body, right? So that's not where Tummo happens. It was actually my friend a couple of months ago who mentioned to me, as I described the whole Tummo thing to her, she said it sounds, because she has a lot of experience with Qigong and Chinese gymnastics and energy on, working with that. And I've practiced that with her for quite a number of years also, so I know what she's talking about. That where the Tummo takes place, where the transformation of the Shakti energy takes place, is actually in the so-called lower Dantian. So I seem to recall there's 3 Dantians, so they don't have chakras in Chinese medicine, okay? They have 3 Dantians, and they are at the underbelly, they're in the heart area, and there's one in the head as well. I'm curious to see whether I will encounter those other 2 in a specific form at any point. So far, I don't think that's what's happened for me, because I've been really busy with my chakras as a result of the Tummo. So I've brought a little bowl here, which looks like this. This is actually a Japanese ceramic bowl. As you can see, I have this nice big colorful marble in there that I actually found on the street at some point. And this is to illustrate more or less what the Tummo is, what the energy of the Shakti is doing in the lower Dantian. And you'd have to imagine that on either end here are your hip joints. And you can just, sit this energy around here, and it just will go around there. And what you want to do in order for the Shakti energy to transform into Tummo is for it to sit in there as long as possible. It'll move around a bit, and it will, in the middle, settle down in the middle eventually, and it'll focus there. And then there are, like, in my interpretation, you might call these chakras just as well. There are like maybe 3 or 4 little nerve centers, or meridian centers, or chakras, or whatever you want to call those, in that bowl, going from the middle to the front, and they light up as they get Shakti sent into them, or sent close to them. So that's a lower Dantian exercise. And the second chakra is sort of over this and forward to the outside, and sort of sits completely separately, strangely enough, from this whole process of this Tummo awakening in the belly. So far, so good. This is mainly repeating what I've already said a few times in my progress reports. Now, I've noticed over the past couple of months that my Tummo has been growing, so I get this more of a sense of a standing flame from that lower Dantian area up into my belly and my chest area, like that. And all this has become stabilized, I would say, quieter, more energized, very pleasant. It feels really good. All of this feels perfectly excellent, It's only in that situation, at that level of things, I didn't really feel like how much was changing for me. I could feel it energizing me, so that was good, right? I've done a lot of processing through 2020 mentally and psychologically. There's been a lot going on for everybody, and for me also. So I've done a lot of that. I've used, I suppose, a lot of that energy that was available to me in the Tummo, in those processes, also writing and what have you. Now, this is the situation I was in, like, say, 10 days ago, when I had, this is the knowledge, the level of knowledge that I had, the level of experience that I had with my Tummo, my Dantien, and a vague sense of there are chakras here. I don't know what's happening to them. And actually, it was because of something somebody said. I don't know at this point who it was. That reminded me of, okay, so where are those chakras and what are they doing and how are they hanging out? And I was looking at that inside my body, inside my heart area in particular, and I was reminded of yet another cultural component, if you like, in this whole story that I have investigated in, I believe it was in 2019, almost a year ago. I did a fairly lengthy video, I think, about the assemblage point. And yeah, so I got into that because it was autumn and I was reading Castaneda again, and I encountered this term again, and I went ahead and Googled assemblage point, and I found, because it's vibrational, so I'm interested, right? I'm gonna have me a glop of water. Hot water, to have to drink hot water is crucial for me because of my lymph system. So, assemblage point, turns out that there are two approaches really. There's the Castaneda approach that I haven't heard much about, where the assemblage point is actually described in his books, in some of his books, as being situated behind somebody's back in the distance over there, and a shaman can manipulate that vibration point for somebody and change how they perceive the world. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I didn't really see how it would benefit me at that moment. But what I Googled, I got something completely different. I got a new interpretation. I will there's a video out there also on YouTube that has details on this by somebody. I will link them in the description, where actually the assemblage point is a kind of a core self vibrational point of identification, basically, in your chest, where it should be right here in the middle, where my lowest point of this thing is, or my little heart pendant, my little goddess pendant here, more or less, in the middle, XYZ, in the middle of your heart area. That's where it should be. And in many cases, especially with traumatized people, it isn't in the middle. It's shunted to the side. And if you just monitor and poke at yourself for a bit, you can find out that there is a position which hurts, a little area that hurts more than normal. It's a sensitive piece of flesh in here, of course. There's lots of sensitivity and meridians and things going in and out, so you have to be a bit. You don't want to overdo it, but you can at some point poke at a place which is. So this is my spot here, which I found investigating this with their information that they gave, which has to do each of these shifts away from the central normal natural position has a significance. So there's a particular cause. If the position is over here, it has to do with depression. If it is over here where I've got it, it's to do with anxiety, and so on and so forth. So there's a whole map of, it's on the net, and it'll be you will see it in the other video that they've published, where the associations are, and you can connect. If this is your case, if this is your situation, you can connect that position to what has happened to you and how and what and so on and so forth. So this person who uploaded this, and I think they've got a website and a therapy practice as well, they offer methods to realign all that stuff and to get the assemblage point with the use of crystals and some other tools. I think they managed to get it back to where it's where it belongs. And I haven't tried that. I haven't been in contact with those people because I'm in another country, and besides that, there was COVID. Also, I've tried to do a couple of things with some rock crystals, which is what they advised to do also, and it helped for a bit. And I could certainly feel the difference. It is like there is an I in there, and both an I like this and an I like me, an identity kind of a vortex kind of a thing going on, which gets shunted off to the side in my case. Still at this point, what I've done over the past week is I've been doing my Tummo, which is down there, in my underbelly, in my lower dantian, and then upwards from there. And I've looked at the whole chakra operation in more detail, with in the back of my mind this shift to the right for my assemblage point operation thing. So we've left Castaneda way behind. We are not into Castaneda or into shrooms or any of it. All of this is energy work happening right here, right now, okay? So I thought, let me look at this, and I had a very clear indication or impression that actually all my chakras, my heart chakra included, throat, heart, solar plexus, and number 2 in my belly, they're all slanted to the right side of me. So in that same kind of a pattern as this assemblage thing happening over here, everything is pushed to the side and pressed down, like I don't have any proper self-expression at all. What you get here, at this point, I feel much better, okay? Because I've done something about this. Yes, which is the next part of my story. But what you have been getting on my channel in the past years is basically what happens up here and what I think is the right thing to do. And so there's a whole separate kind of an organization. It hasn't, although a lot of it has been personal, and I am so grateful for the whole opportunity of YouTube making this possible for me to share loads of things in my life. All that has been really important in me getting here. What it does, what it has done, all that process, all that growth, all the writing and all the vlogging and all the rest of it, it has allowed me to change my perspectives, basically, to grow in terms of perspectives, to expand also up here, right? Which is, I had to do that first. I obviously had to do that first. In terms of chakras, nothing happened because my perspective changed. My chakras aren't going to change because of that. So I think that's pretty essential. It's another example of how visualization doesn't really affect anything. The mind doesn't have the power to transform the energy. However, the Tummo does. What I have done so far, and I'm really pleased with the result, it's completely amazing, and I'm still very much getting used to it, is I have, if you imagine these chakras sitting along a little bank like that, which is my spine, like mushrooms or plants, and they're all bent over to the one side like that. What I've basically done is I have made a little wall of Tummo underneath them. So to this right side, at first this side of my spine, I have built up like a dike, how appropriate for a Dutch woman, of Tummo energy, layering in strands of Tummo energy. And there's a part of that which was visualization, I suppose, but I had to get me Tummo on properly first, get me lower dantian properly fired up, have this sense of expansion, have the heat, palpably there, and then connect that. And what works best for me is, and I'm going to bring out my little bowl again, is that the energy can actually move from the middle there. When it is expanding, it can also expand to the hip joints. And from the hip joints, it goes easily back into the spine like that, and starting off potentially at the tailbone and then going in along the spine to the first to the right side and then also to the left, because symmetry is better, I thought. And what happens is that these two dikes of Tummo energy laying there, which is why you want Tummo energy, transformed Shakti for this, because in this case, the more permanent nature of Tummo will do for you what Shakti by itself will not do. Shakti just bounces around and goes off into, whatever else is necessary, and there's always systems asking for energy. So in this case, you can actually focus the Tummo right there, and what happens is that those two dikes on either side of the chakras lift them up and set them straight in the middle. And boy, I can feel that. It's completely and utterly amazing. I've been doing this after Samhain, before Samhain and Beltane, and not Beltane, Halloween. I was, I suppose it's Beltane on the other side of the planet, right? I was obsessed with my whole psychological differentiation business, which was a massive deal to me because I had never realized before. So that's where the psychological and perspective business links in with all this. I can do all this now with the setting straight of the chakras and the things, getting an actual personal relationship with the world is the result. There's no way I can tell you how that feels. It is beautiful to be alive in this manner. That's all I can say. It's crazy and it's beautiful and it's wow, And I suppose that one practical thing that has come out of this directly, more or less directly over the past 2 days really, is that I've realized that vlogging slightly less is good for me. Also, any type of activity, like for example my spinning or knitting or those types of things, is fine if I do it in little bits in between other things. However, there's a very strong temptation for me always, I suppose because I'm slightly obsessive by nature, to continually do the same thing for hours on end, at the detriment of Book of Shadows work, journaling, and other creative, especially creative work like drawing, for example. So yesterday I spent quite a bit of the afternoon on a drawing that I am not going to show you because I'm slightly on over the witchy end, and it's never mind. But maybe when it's really finished, I will show it to you. The activity of the drawing, the activities of drawing, of journaling, of Book of Shadows, where I summarize all this kind of stuff, where I would still want to do a summary or a, sort of a nutshell presentation for myself of the comparing the experience, the vibrational experience with the three kinds of amanita, mushrooms, all that stuff I still want to put in there. I forget about everything that is actually important to me personally. I run off out there to participate in things, and it's okay, and it's been okay, but I have more and more recently had phases where I just get completely bored and fed up with myself, and I don't know what to do anymore. I don't really, and what I need at that point is just half an hour of journaling, and then everything sets itself properly. It sets itself up again. Like, okay, so I need that moment of reflection and of adjustment from all these different perspectives. They all have to fit in somewhere, and it doesn't just do it and off I can go. I have to take time to reflect Very surprising, stunning revelation here. So that's one practical element that has come out of this, is that I've actually gotten a new resolve, certainly in doing particular jobs, giving myself some air, changing my work area that I'm in, and moving over to the next, the next area of activity as best as possible, because I'm home alone most of the time. I can do this any odd way I want, and I'm free to, sit and think a lot of the time. But it's somehow really tempting for me to just sit and spin. If I've got my spinning wheel operational right there, I've done another massive batch of white sheep's wool to do knitting with. Making this is a day's work, days and days. It's probably all week that I spent spinning one half of the thread and then the other half, and then twining them together in the other direction, washing and drying them, which I don't have to do anything for, I just have to hang them out. And it's nice work to do, because you can, sit and think. But for me, that's not enough. I have to make physical little summaries. And vlogging, as much as I enjoy my vlogging and interacting with you guys and having people, occasionally comment and exchange experiences with them, it's very important. It's why I do this. But there's a level of you cannot really look anything up on YouTube, I find, as much as you put tags and things in for people to find where your things are and your playlists with your things and all that. It's not possible to really look anything up and to sort of, what you do have in a book, right? You can, if you have a book, you can actually check things, compare things, and actually learn something. So this video YouTube thing is not really for learning. It is for learning how to talk about the things, learning how to show potentially things, if possible, how they work, and then, there's still a next chapter for me to do, a next chapter to write. There's, all sorts of things I can be doing. So with that, I'm going to close off here. This went, I think, rather well, actually. I think I made some kind of sense, combining Indian, Chinese, Tibetan, and Western approaches. I suppose the assemblage point should be qualified as Western, as it isn't really identical with what the Castaneda approach at all. And it turns out it was all quite useful to me. Certainly now I feel I'm starting to feel more connected to other people as well, people that I've not known for a very long time yet. I can already sense that my relationships with people, my own attitude in my relationships with people is improving in terms of personal warmth and I don't know, even affection, I suppose, even though that's something that has been preciously hoarded in my life, because it was, the gold scales quantities, tiny bits of affection in there. So thank you for being here, and I will be back next week at some point. I will probably be uploading slightly less for a while, and we will also wait and see what happens over the ocean, okay? And so far it doesn't seem to be too bad, and oh dear, I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh at the American travails. It's bad. I feel all sorts of things. Let's not go there. I will see you next time. Okay, be safe and see where it takes you. Okay, stay safe. Okay. Okay, people? Thank you for watching. See you then. Bye-bye.